Mr. Hopkins' secretary.
Right.
And back there in the day, I mean, you know, they had those switchboards that you used to push the thing through and answer. You know, I learned all of that from her. And
All right.
then, of course, John Hopkins Sr., who was like a father to me. And so it's just history. Right now, me and my Philadelphia family.
All right.
Reverend Don Amici Gaston. Who is truly, truly inspiration in my life. And I just love him to death.
No, you do.
Ditto.
Right. I want to say that what is my black history is the fact that we as in St. Petersburg, I experienced a black community, being that there were nowhere as a child you could go that you could not be scolded or
Okay.
directed.
All right.
That's right.
And the parents backed up.
Yeah.
You know, backed up what happened to you. But I'm not saying that there was an abuse going on, that there was a lot of parenting going on. And all the things and the things that we are missing now, the youth are missing now, is that type of behavior from parents that we experienced. Being able to, Vicky talked about where Big Daddy put his money. Some banks ain't always safe to put your money in. But the way that he had a way of, we had a commerce going. And our commerce was black. Now, you might say segregation was wrong, but at least it's kept us together. Right. Soon when they desegregated us, we started going all kind of ways, just like our classmate with the Lakewood and Bogey. We went other way. Now, whether that's bad or good, we grew. But the issue is we lost that black communism.
Yes.
You know, and it's kind of up to us to say the things we need to say to the young ones so they can kind of look at that now, because they're getting promoted the other part of it, because that's how you stay grounded. You got to keep that part of it. So I remember my mama, I remember my dad who worked at the first, it was one of the first masons in construction. My brothers all mason construction with Ball Reed. It was a white-owned company, but he was one of the first blacks to do masonry work. Now, of course, he had to do the labor-type job, but he learned how to put the floor in, the concrete floor in. And a lot of these buildings, like Webb City, Central Plaza, blacks did that. My pop was part of doing all that. Yes, that's why I'm in construction now. You know? But that's all history. And then my mom, she actually worked for Doc Webbs as a maid, cleaning the floor, because she took me there. And I was able to do that. Lady who Daddy invented the aluminum ladder. Mom stayed not far from over the Bogosiega area. She cleaned her floors. And it was just, all that was history. But one thing I do remember, when I went to work with her, if I didn't do a good job cleaning that bathtub, I had to clean it over and over again, because she strived for perfection. And she taught me. I guess that's why I like to pick up stuff my wife needs all the time. It just makes me anal.
He done put you out there, Jordan.
I know it's on video.
He done put you out there.
True, but that's just me.
And it's on video.
It's just me. But I love her. That's
You better.
And I guess that's why you know, it's your history.
Yeah.
That stuff ingrained in you. So hopefully I can pass that on to my kids, that you know, they look back and say, yeah, my daddy did this, and my granddaddy did that, so they can move on. But to know that community, that black community that kept me focused, can give them something to go back to, so they can stay focused, because they got a whole lot to deal with out there, way more than I did. My community didn't have all YouTube. We didn't have that, but they do now. So they They need that grounding point.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stop talking. My wife kicking me now. So.
I just want to bring this up too. Big Daddy, everybody in the neighborhood that knew Big Daddy respected him. He respected Mr. George Wooten. All you got to do is say the name, because he whipped all us.
Okay.
The whole neighborhood.
Okay.
Yes, yes. He was the man.
What's that, Miss Honeybun?
Whole neighborhood, he loved all the children, but they had to obey him.
Yeah, all right.
I was the kind that I kind of do it right now. I would hide food up under my plate. My daddy would say one word until at the end, and then he would say, "Oh, you're not through. Leave your plate." But I enjoyed my father and my mother and my family. They was all really, really nice, and you had to do what they said.
All right.
If you went anywhere, we used to love to go to the movie. But if you didn't go to BYPU or the center school, he would say one word to the end. He said, "Well, you didn't go. Well, I wanted you to go, but you can't go now."
All right.
All right.
Amen.
He was good parents.
Amen.
Well, my black history was from, I didn't like my last name, it was Black. And when I was in elementary school, they used to call you by your last name first. And everybody turned around and thought I was a real black
Wow.
child, but then my skin was a little lighter. So it wasn't until I got to middle school that we had black history. So I loved getting my hair braided, and then I started loving my name. Then what I really found out is that my family came from, descended from Blackstone, Virginia, which we now is called Black's Lane. We do have, I'm still sort of like reaching out to my family members when we have a family reunion to know more about the family. We have our own church, we have our own cemetery. And when having Rakaya, and then I bought a first black book, anything had to do with black history. And I remember buying Rakaya, that Spike Lee book, Please Baby Please. And that was the first black book that I let her, she learned how to read. And also the history of, I was just telling Reggie, I bought a book when we moved out here, I bought a book of St. Pete. That was the book that this man, husband and wife wrote that's from St. Pete. But I wanted her to read that, and I read it to find out the history of where her family, came from. So black history also just letting her know that she's black and it's okay to be black, even though when she got this thick black hair, this long, this thick, she would always throw a wig up in it, you know what I mean, a weave. But she do know her blackness, and when she takes her hair off, she still knows she is beautiful.
All right. All right.
Right.
All right.
But also, there's another thing, being at the job where I work at, and so having that it's Black History Month, they're not doing nothing real spectacular at Job Corps. But this one young man drew on a paper after watching the movie Rosewood, which I know about that too, and he was supposed to write a paper on it. But instead of he writing a paper, he turned around, he erased his name off the paper, and he drew a paper, and it said on there with the word speaking, "I want to eat you nigga." So when we brought him in the office, I got kind of mad, and I wanted to, because I'm looking at him and I'm saying, this Black History Month, and you use the word nigga, but we know what that means. And we asked him what he meant. Did he know anything about Rosewood and what it was about? And he said that the whites against the blacks. And I looked at him and I turned around, I had to catch myself. And I said to him, no. And you need to go back and watch the story, and then you need to write me a 3-paragraph, 5 about that story, an essay. And he came back and he wrote and told about the whole story. And apology letter
And he
to the
needs
teacher.
to, yes.
And the teacher, yes, and this teacher takes photos for,
The time?
Safety time?
No, the other
We the
paper.
We
The
the challenge.
Weekly Challenger, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's, sometimes you like black people, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you got joy, have a joy, sometimes you got nuts.
All right,
So,
all right.
Helen Davis, with Rosewood.
Yeah, that's right.
Family.
Yeah, I'm a descendant of Rosewood.
right.
Yep.
However, my Black history began growing up in Jordan Park.
All right.
This is
All
what
right.
I remember. I only know about Rosewood from the movie and what I've read in the newspaper. I was not a part of that family at the time. My mother and father, that I consider my parents, Katie Davis and Boise,
All
Willie
right.
Davis. Those are the parents that reared me from a child, a young child.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where God placed me.
All right.
As I grew older, then I began to realize that's where God placed me as a young child. And so that's what I remember. Growing up in Jordan Park, which I dearly love, and still to this day love Jordan Park, and the kind of growing up I had, it was just a wonderful place to live. People there knew everybody, from the old project to the new project. The neighbors took care of all of us. As someone said earlier, everybody in Jordan Park, if you were doing something you didn't have any business doing, the people could reprimand you,
Mhm.
and you would not say a word, but do what they said, okay? I also remember growing up, my schooling started at Jordan Elementary, which was a little, it's where the, what isn't it called there now? But anyways, it was a small school, but we had beautiful teachers, smart teachers. We learned, we used to plant the maypole every May, and all of the girls had on rainbow colors. We were made with long dresses, and and I have a picture of that on my computer. And the guys wore white shirts and white pants. And then from Jordan Elementary, we went to, at that time it was called 16th Street Middle School. No, junior high.
Junior high.
Junior high.
Junior
16th
high.
Street Junior High School. We went there. And I met friends from the north side. Anna Ruth lived on the north side, and Rainey lived on the north side. And we became real good buddies. And believe it or not, then Ann Bernie came into my life after I got to Gibbs. She became, and there were 5 of us that ran together. We were the 5. Everybody knew us at Gibbs, and when we graduated from Gibbs, we all had scholarships to Gibbs Junior College. So we all went to Gibbs Junior College together. And then after our 2 years there, I went to Bethune, Betty went to Bethune, Anna Ruth went to Bethune, and Bernie and Bernie and Rainey, they went to Georgia, a college in Georgia.
Full
I think
Valley.
it was in Oglethorpe, Georgia.
Full Valley.
Full Valley, Georgia, okay.
Full Valley State.
And so
But today, we still remain,
Mhm.
it's 4 of us now. We still are very good friends. We lost one of our friends, Betty. She was Betty Holmes in school. And, but the 4 of us are still very close, and we can still communicate with each other. Now, my Black history, I am a descendant of Rosewood, but growing up, I did not know that, you know. And it was not until Rosewood hit the newspapers. But one thing about that, I did know the family of Rosewood. I knew my dad, I knew my father, my dad, my mother. I knew a lot of my relatives. And believe it or not, I was on the set when they filmed Rosewood. Because, yeah, I was on the set, really. And I wish I could remember the 2 people who were on the set along at the time I was there. It was a woman, Black woman, and I can't remember their name, and a Black man, I can't remember their names. Very, very, very popular. And I'm gonna bring some pictures next Sunday and show you what I look like on the set. They had this big tent, and they dressed us like they did back then. And I was in the film. I was actually filmed in the Rosewood film. However, you know how they edit films? Well, that part, I was sitting at a table with someone else. They edit that part out. Now, why they do that, I don't know. I don't know enough about technology to know. But I was actually filmed in the movie Rosewood. I was there on the set. That was the experience I had with Rosewood. That was the only experience. And I also would attend family reunions with the Rosewood family many times. So I'm not ashamed of my past. I don't talk about it because I love where God's placed me. I had very good role models. My mother and father loved me dearly, dearly, as if, you know, I was their own child. And I had good role models, and the family that I grew up in, part of my Black history, the family that I grew up in, God placed me there. I could not have been in a more beautiful, well-rounded family. They loved me. We had good times together. I have been with that family from the beginning. And so some people might say, well, you're not a part of that family, but I still think I am. I still think I am.
All right.
Because
Yes,
that's
you
the
are.
family I grew up with. And
Yeah, you are.
sometimes that's my Black history. And I thank God every day.
All right.
Every day
All right.
where He placed me.
Amen.
I thank Him all the time. Bethel community was my Black history. I had the most wonderful experience at Bethel community when it comes to my spirituality. I listen to it, and I'm taking up a lot of time, but this has made me, Bethel community, church, made me what I am today. Because I experienced music I experienced Sunday school. I experienced BTU. I experienced morning worship there. And when I went off to college, I was ready. Things that I experienced at Bethel Community. And so I have a rich life. And when I went into teaching, I met white friends that I'm friends with today. They're like family. We talk every week. We go out to eat every month. And so I've had a rich life, and I love where God placed me.
Amen.
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 I was gonna say just, on the boys, and we know about Enoch Davis, but that Park Street where those bricks are, if you've ever went down Park Street, you go where all them Augusta blocks. Boise Davis, Enoch Davis's brother, he loved this. Enoch Davis tells this. When they were laying them bricks out there, Reverend Davis said it was hot. It was hard and difficult. He said Boise kept him close by. Uncle Boise not only did his work, but he was doing Reverend Davis's work.
My daddy was a beautiful person. However, he did have some situations in his life. But let me tell you what he did for his brother. Back then, Reverend Davis was being threatened because of the civil rights movement. We had a parsonage on 16th Street where Campbell Park is. Beautiful parsonage. And that's where Reverend Davis and his wife lived. But Reverend Davis was being threatened at the time during the civil rights movement. And my dad, Boise, we called him, went to his home with his gun and sat on that porch. And he wasn't playing. He didn't play by his family. He loved his family and he protected his family. He said, now y'all come on with your whatever you want to do, but I'm sitting here on this porch with my gun and I'm gonna be ready for you.
Yeah, all right.
That's the kind of daddy I had. Amen.
and the Masons, when Reverend Davis was going through that, the Masons was also sitting on that. They would come and sit on that porch.
Really?
You can bring it in
I
close.
know my daddy, he kept
To
a
the
gun.
T. And bring it out wide with the gun.
My black history was going to a lot of black schools, go to Campbell Park, 16th Street Elementary, and well, my first year was 8 years, but I had to finish at St. Pete High because they started all this immigration and all that stuff. But I appreciate all the black teachers that I had and what they contribute to my life.
Amen.
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 Family, my granddad, loved his well, I'm not gonna say it's one of the first, well, I'm not gonna say that, but we have grocery stores where Mount Zion Progressive is now, and we also went over there. And my uncle, Frank Peterson, had a grocery store by Cribs Funeral Home. And back in the day when 27th Street was really popping, and Daddy worked in the pool room on 22nd Street, and a lot of people said, you can knock his daughter, or he whips a daughter. But let's see, look, we live like one street behind 22nd Street. And it was just well, the black community, it was rich, it was just,
Yeah.
just, but pretty much all inclusive, everything, everybody contributed a lot, it was, I got a lot out of that whole experience. and, I, well, though I still, started working with the state, but, I also went to work at the Wicked Challenger, and I worked with Mr. Johnson and Mr. Blackshear and met Lonnie Donaldson there, and we were talking, telling me that my granddaddy, well, that was the first job he had working at a local business store, and it's, well, I just appreciated a lot of stuff that I gave from being around a lot of different people and who also
We went to 16th Street, we went to Mr. Peterson's store, walking on from 16th Street. The store was right there on 7th Avenue. Some things we bought and some things we borrowed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting on that.
Oh, well, stop it.
Amen. Well, I'm gonna leave y'all with a few things. 'Cause, Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go. And when he's old, he will not depart from it. That sums up our Black history.
Amen.
All these things that encompass our experiences. That's our Black history.
Amen. Amen.
I mean, growing up with good friends and the experience of well, the knowledge of Rosewood, but not the experience of Rosewood. That's all part of our Black history. Big Daddy.
All right, man. Big mama.
Big Mama. That's part of our experience. A whole family. Educators, people in your family, people that were just like family. The real village at that time. The real village. Jordan Park was a village.
Amen.
40 Quarters was a village. You knew how to act. Palm Court and all that. You knew how to act.
Amen.
And if you didn't know how to act, you got reminded how to act.
That's right.
Remember your black history, Miss Mary.
I'm sorry. I don't know how the heck I forgot. And I appreciated working for my first employer.
Oh,
I'm sorry. But you put on the spotlight and you get stuff and then it's like.
Forgot it. That's all right.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad you remember.
You get put on the spotlight and you just get like, oh.
He forgot it too. I mean, because when you think about it, we had some no-nonsense parents and grandparents. We had some no-nonsense other people down the line in the family and even outside of the family. So, and some of us had a good deal of hands-on education. I know I had a good deal of hands-on education. Now our parents, our foreparents, our grandparents, and going down the line, they had a unique way of teaching. Each and every one of us.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you know what? And some of them passed down that hands-on education.
Right.
If I got it, you can get it too.
Yeah.
My children remember being hands-on. You know what I mean? When they were passing down that hands-on education to the future generations, and it was sometimes that we didn't feel like it was going to be no future generation. Because when when there was the proper application of education to the seat of knowledge. You know, if you was ready to give up the ghost or not. But what you have to do is you remember your black history. Remember everything that makes you who you are. Like Auntie Helen said. I mean, think about it. Time out. Time out is part of our black history. But it's not the same time out that it is now. See, the time out now is the child or the offender is removed from a questionable situation and given time out to think about what they've done. Our time out was the parent got so tired of tearing on your butt, they took a time out. But you did still think about what you did.
All right.
Got what else? What we got? Card parties in Pokino. That's part of our black history.
Sure is now.
Fish and grit Friday night.
Friday night.
Fish and grits.
Absolutely.
Fried chicken on
Crabs.
Biz whisk, crabs. That's part of it. But guess what? We can do all that on Friday. And we can do all that on Saturday. Guess what's happening Sunday morning?
Just going to church.
That's right.
Going to church.
You going to
And
church?
then Sunday school.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. Johnny can walk with you Friday and Saturday night.
Okay, what I did on
But
Saturday.
Jesus gonna walk with you Sunday morning.
That's right. That's right.
You hear me?
Yeah.
I know y'all hear me.
I hear you.
Liberty Francis?
Oh, it's Sunday school.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
It started and church was a whole day. Y'all remember getting dropped off at parties?
Yes.
Was that just the most embarrassing thing in the world? And I used to want to get dropped off like down the street. I'm like, this it right here. I don't see nothing happening there. Oh, mama. So I had to get dropped off right in front. And of course, my friends, like the welcoming committee. Your mom brought you to the party. She gonna pick you up too, ain't she? Yeah. But that's part of our black history. Guys, when you think about it now, my parents cared enough to drop me off and pick me up.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, there was some